Que Bola un tiburón?
From Cafeteria Film Studios in Miami, Florida, Fresher Fresh presents Que Bola, where we talk to various movers and hustlers in South Florida who are popping off and succeeding, and in the process, how they're influencing the 305 culture. My name is Darwin Figueroa, and I am your host. I hope you enjoy this, and let's get into it, all right? Listo.
It's a really big fetus.
Yeah. In this week's episode, we sat down with Mike Jenner, a movie producer and businessman based out of South Florida. His most recent film, Billy Boy, is set to be distributed and released sometime in June. Hope you guys like this talk. Check it out. So we're in the studio with my main man, Mike Jenner. What's up, Mike? How you doing, doggy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm breathing.
You're breathing. I'm
breathing.
Glad to see
I'm
you
breathing. My kids are breathing. My wife breathing.
That's what's up.
So we're
man.
good.
So, Mike, tell the people a little bit about what you do and where you from. Where you from originally?
Born and raised in Miami.
All right.
After high school, I ended up moving up to Jacksonville, and I got my bachelor's degree up there.
Okay.
I played football up there for 4
Right.
years, and then after I was done with that, and I became a washed-up athlete, I came back home.
Yeah.
Got a job working at a finance to condo and homeowner associations, and I started my career there as a staff accountant. I rose to be the director of operations there.
All right.
And then shortly thereafter, I ended up leaving. Went out and took the leap into entrepreneurship, and I've been doing that. I have my hands in a few things right now. I own a company that we specialize in recovering money for people post foreclosure.
Post foreclosure. So, like, you mean like for the bank or for like the people who own the house?
The people who owned the house.
Who owned the house?
Owned the house. They don't own it anymore. When they
Yeah.
sign up with me, it's like, hey, I'll help you get what's left.
Yeah.
So it's like recovering the equity kind of form that they didn't know they were entitled to. Really.
Okay. All right.
So I'm doing that, and I also have my hands in a couple other things. I'm just about to get my first feature film that I produced off the ground now. It's been a couple years in the making.
All right.
So we're excited about that. I made that. I produced that with my brother, Blake Jenner.
Okay.
So the name of the movie is Billy Boy.
All right.
And it's a story about a kid who was kind of born into the wrong life.
Yeah.
He has a dysfunctional kind of relationship with his father, and as a result, it bleeds over to his relationship with his mom.
Yeah.
He hangs out with the wrong crowd. He's involved in carjackings and things like that.
Yeah.
And along the movie, you always you find yourself rooting for him because you see the potential that he has a good heart, and he ends up meeting a love interest, and she was his outlet. Yeah. Kind of outside of, away from that life that he was living.
Nice.
And, toward the end, he ends up getting sucked back in, and then everything unravels. And,
I mean, dude, that movie is pretty intense. I saw it with you a little earlier ago, and it makes you, first of all, think about, like, when you're a kid, because the dude, Billy, he's, like, young, right? So he's, like, a juvenile. So it brings you back to your juvenile days when you was, like, doing stupid shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody does stupid shit. Before we get a little bit into that, you say you went to high school here in South Florida. What high school you went to?
I went to Felix Varela Senior High School.
All right.
Believe it or not, I went there for 9th, 10th, and 12th grade.
All right.
Oh, no. It was 9th, 11th, and 12th. My bad.
All right. 9th, 11th, and 12th.
My sophomore year,
Yeah.
I actually lived in Jacksonville.
Okay.
My dad got a job up there, so we ended up moving up there
Mm-hmm.
for a year because he ended up getting the same job back down in Miami. So we were all like, we're moving back to Miami. So I had that one sophomore year that I was up in Jacksonville.
That's crazy. And you played football in Jacksonville? Where in Jacksonville? What college?
College, Jacksonville University.
Jacksonville University?
Yeah.
And you got a full ride out there?
Well, it's a one AA non-scholarship program.
Okay.
But they do, provide funding in the form of grants and things like that to, help
Offset
cover the
cost
tuition.
of
Yeah,
school.
but it's,
That's
it's
what's
very
up, bro. That's
similar
what's up.
to.
So you came out of school with what kind of degree?
I got my bachelor's degree in accounting.
In accounting, all right.
Yeah.
So you went from accounting to doing the recovery for the foreclosures, and then you went into the movie world? Like, all right, so like, what was that process?
Yeah, no,
like?
I mean, all right, so, I got my bachelor's degree in accounting, and like I said, after, I moved back to Miami after college, and I ended up getting this job with this specialty finance company that did collections.
Yeah.
And, I was brought in, I was hired as a staff accountant.
Yeah.
And, along the way, I ended up getting my master's degree in business. And, during that time is when my younger brother, he moved out to LA.
Okay.
Okay. I'm 6 years older than Blake.
Okay.
So when he was 18, I was 24.
Yeah.
So when he moved out, I told him, if there's anything I can do to try to help facilitate or help or in any capacity, at least let me try.
Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't even know what that meant at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't know anything about producing. My knowledge in business at that point, I mean, it wasn't as far along as it is now, but it's like, I had pretty wealthy bosses, and I when I started that job, it was a startup that grew to be pretty successful. So I was able to see something grow from the ground. Yeah. So I kind of know all the bells and whistles and things that it takes to
to
kind of create something.
So
and I've always felt like a capable person. So and 3 years later, he comes back with this script, Billy Boy, and he's like, hey man, like I want to try to get this made.
All right.
And it's just crazy how things kind of fall together, come together, because when I said, let me try to help, it's just, I didn't want it to be in the form of like a manager or an agent or anything like that. Cause that's, you've heard the saying, you don't want to mix business with family.
And
so, that's kind of
number 7,
that's kind of scary, so, but, in doing this together, producing this film, I feel like we've found a relationship and we've, to be able to continue doing this and it not be so personal, or like I have his career in my hands, or something like that. And so that's how I got into it. Blake brought me the script, and I pitched my bosses. He also brought in my now business partner Rj.ulrich. We have a production company in LA.
Okay.
And or in California. What?
What's the name of the production company?
Stay Relevant Productions.
Okay.
And so that's when I met Robert. And so when Blake brought the script, we were trying to figure out, how to kind of execute on this. We put together the pitch materials. I pitched my bosses, we passed it around to some people, and, we ended up finding a formula that kind of worked for the people that were interested. And they wanted to, and what we agreed to do was launch a Kickstarter campaign.
Okay.
And the goal was $100,000.
All right.
And it was kind of like a contingency funding deal where it's like, if you meet the goal, the rest of the money's coming. If you don't, then the project doesn't happen, right? Back, So we ended up doing the Kickstarter campaign, which was, a movie in itself.
Okay.
Dude, so many highs and lows. And,
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. So,
so you're like self-made with this production company, and with the actual movie being put out. You guys like started this shit from the ground up. You and your brother, you had the script, and then you started looking for the money, you started looking for the people to be involved. You guys started this shit from the ground up.
Yeah, I mean, you learn a lot on the way. Like, obviously, this is my first feature film, getting it off the ground, and a lot of it's learn as you go, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like,
And you're like you're at the precipice right now. You're about to release it, or you're what stage are you in right now?
So we finished up the festival circuit recently. The film had its world premiere at Fantastic Fest in Austin, Texas. That was back in September. The following month in October, we screened at the San Diego International Film Festival.
All right.
And at that festival, Blake actually won the Rising Star Award for the for the festival.
Nice.
And then to close out the festival run, we just screened at the Miami Film Festival here.
Okay.
And that was a painful weekend. Week and weekend.
Yeah.
Just with all the events and everything.
Yeah.
But and we're set to have our release sometime in mid-June.
That's what's up, dude. I mean, damn, that's an undertaking, homie. That's not easy, bro. Like, that's pretty insane. And you guys were able to find all the financing and all of that throughout the entire process. What do you feel has been like the one thing that like touched you the most?
It's a lot of things, you know.
It's like not one particular.
It's not just one particular things, and you know, there's so many things that are eye-opening that you see, you know, you run into along the way.
Yeah.
You know, like for example, like just, you know, my relationship with Blake, for example. It's just like, you know, I'm 6 years older than him, and that's a big gap when you're 12 years old and 6 years old, or if you're 18 years old and 12 years old. Like that's still a pretty big gap. But, you know, this kind of doing this together kind of, you know, it really allowed us to close that gap and really catch up with each other. I mean, we're, you know, catching up with each other, you know, years before, but like this, like really like,
put you guys together.
Put us together. Not only that, but it also, you know, we know each other's capabilities and strengths and our skill set. And like, you know, if you feel like you're good at something, right? You feel like you're good at something.
You should take the point.
You know, it's you know, when people say they understand or something, maybe I'm explaining this wrong, but it's like, you know, that feeling that you have where like, no, you don't get it though. No, you don't get it though.
Yeah.
Him and I get each other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and like this experience has allowed, you know, him to know what I'm really capable of, and what and for me to know what he's really capable of too.
I feel you, man.
So it's been awesome, you know.
Is this your brother's first feature film?
This is the first feature film that he wrote.
Okay.
He's had other movies that he's been in that have recently come out. He was in Richard Linklater's Everybody Wants Some.
Okay.
He was also in The Edge of 17 with Haley Steinfeld.
Okay.
Another movie just came out, American Animals, that sold at Sundance.
Okay.
And it's been making its festival run. It was just at South by Southwest. I think this coming week it's going to be in Orlando at the Florida Film Festival.
Okay.
And I'm probably missing a couple others. But you know, he's doing his thing, man, and I'm really proud of him.
That's what's up, bro. That's what's up. I mean, it's so awesome to see people that are talented like that coming out of South Florida and flourishing in different avenues, you know. Nowadays, people really don't take into consideration how much South Florida has grown, or maybe they do, you know, but it's something that I'm super proud of, and I love it, you know. I love the fact that you have a production studio, and you have a production company, and you're putting out movies, and you're from Dade County, you went to Felix Varela, like, you're like kind of like something that people could aspire to, you know, because it's like you don't have to necessarily be in LA to make a movie. You don't have to be in New York to make, or like you don't have to be in New York to be a rapper. You know, it's like you could come out of anywhere as long as you have that creativity and that drive and that consistency. How long you say start to finish the fucking whole entire thing went? Like, when did it start?
When did it start? It's been a pretty long journey. It's been a couple of years, but you know, you can't rush the creative process. You know, we secured funding at the end of December 2013.
Damn.
And then we had principal photography was in mid 2014, I think July, and then it was in post for a while, and then you know, we did some pickup shoots, some reshoots or whatnot, and then, you know, it's kind of been in post since. You know, Billy Boy was actually written and shot as a linear story. Okay. You know, and one of the things that's taken a while but has actually been great for the movie was, you know, Brad Beaker really cracking the code on like delivering this movie. You know, he you know, it was shot, like I said, in a linear version, and it was a great film, linear. Brad, just like, he's an artist too. You know, and he has his creative process, and he has his, you know, his own recipe for how he wants things to turn out. And you know, he felt like it needed something.
No, it definitely, man, let me tell you, I can tell everybody who was working on this particular film is talented as shit. You know what I'm saying? Because like, I'm not a big movie dude, you know, like I'm like, normally I'm more into music and stuff like that. So in order for me to watch a movie and really enjoy it, it's like it takes something, you know. It has to be something that's new, refreshing. I don't like the same monotony. There's a lot of that now, so that's why I like really skip out on a lot of movies, because it's like, I've seen that movie like 5 million times before in another version, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, when I saw this movie, I was like, you my boy. I was gonna, either way, I'm gonna be like, yo, this movie's dope. But honestly, like, after watching that movie, I'm like, yo, this shit is fucking fresh. You know? It's like, this shit really took me for a loop. It's like one of those movies that's like, fuck, I could see the audience coming out of the theater like with their head fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And that's always a good. That's always a good feeling and a good like damn like you have the audience thinking. You have them thinking about some other shit. You know what I'm saying?
That's one of the beauties of I feel like that this new cut brings. With the flashbacks and it's the non-linear version. It's like it's not only arresting and grabbing, but it challenges you to remember where you are in the movie as an audience as well. Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting, and like I said, Brad's an artist and he flexed his creative arm on this, and everybody is really proud of what the final product is.
Yeah, it's dope, man. I really recommend everybody watch the movie. Like, in terms of you being able to go out and do this, so you started in 2000, like roughly 2013. We're right now in 2018. That's like 5 years. So it took you. That's a long process, man. That's determination and consistency.
Oh yeah. Well, we had the money in the bank at the end of 2013. Yeah. So it's like the whole 2013 doesn't count as a year.
Okay, so 2005.
Let's not make it sound longer than it was.
All right, so let's say 2014, whatever, 4 years. So 4 years of still, man. That's a long ass time to like be after a dog with a bone for 4 years is a long ass time.
Yeah, man.
A lot of people would have just been like, man, you know what, fuck this shit. Yeah. Let's try to do something else or whatever. Let's try to spin this into something else or whatever. But like you guys were like, no, let's follow through. Let's follow through. Let's follow through. Yeah. Like the whole follow through 4 years. That's huge. You're like, where do you draw your inspiration from? Like to be such an entrepreneur, to be like, all right, I'm gonna fucking launch myself into this particular thing. What do you think that you draw, inspiration from that?
I mean, I think a lot of it stems from just like, what I felt as a child. Okay. I mean, it's like, the fire that burns kind of under me is, it may be bad, but it's almost like the fear of failure kind of.
Okay.
That in addition to, just, trying to use every kind of ounce and knowledge and not let anything go to waste. We were having a conversation earlier about not, how it would feel to regret something, how bad that tastes. And it's just like, I just want to use every ounce of my brain to be able to like, execute on things. And I'm not a creative, like I was telling you earlier, I'm not, but at the same time, I feel like piecing things together and, creating something of this kind of magnitude. I mean, it's an art in itself. Yeah. And that's, and where I draw from, it's just like, I don't know, it's kind of like the journey. Like, it's like, I want to be able to keep doing my own thing and be the holder of my own destiny, and not to mention I have kids and a beautiful wife that and they keep me motivated and all of that. But it's just like it's not even money either. It's just like it's more of like a legacy thing. It's like you want to be something, but at the same time, it's like you want to show people that they can too. Yeah. It's like
it's a weird feeling. It's a weird feeling to throw yourself into the wilderness, not knowing, not having any security or anything like that.
Sure.
That blanket. When you take that blanket off, you know that blanket I'm talking about. Like when you feel like, oh, okay, I'm financially secure. I could do all these things. But you're not like fulfilled, in your life. You want to do other things that like bring you happiness and joy. You have to really launch yourself to that shit, Sure, man. And it's like one of those things that it's for me. I know where my shit came from. So it's like I always want to know what drives other people. What drives them to say, you know what? I'm gonna throw this sauna off. I'm gonna take off this blanket and really go out there and be crazy in the wilderness, Mm-hmm. I call it the wilderness because it's like, it's the wild.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? It's the wild. When you're out there, like, you gotta have werewolves to be out there.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's full of uncertainty. It's full of instability. It's full of, fearful experiences and, what if, it's like the fear of failure really kicking in like it's never been before, But, everything works out, in the end, if you are that.
If you persevere.
If you, it's just like I told Blake, there's people out there who try to, who want to become actors, and there's people who are actors.
Yeah.
and that's kind of what I feel is like the difference from being the holder of your own destiny and kind of living in denial. You know, it's important to know what your strengths and capabilities are, and like I said before,
That's funny.
I feel like
dope. I mean, all right, so repeat that. Your strength.
I don't even know. I'm just freestyling,
no,
man.
I get
don't know
it,
if I
like,
can, but
living in denial. I mean, that makes sense. Like,
yeah, but just be
true.
real with yourself.
Be real with yourself. Keep it real. You know what you're really good at. You know what you like, what you should be doing. You know, and like, and if you feel like that's what, if you feel that that's how where your strengths are, then go for that. You know, don't try to like. Don't try to do something that you're not all about. You know, like don't try to front and fake.
Yeah. And it's crazy how the generations change, because when I was growing up, you know, my parents, you know, their goal was, you know, security, amongst other things, being a great, you know, parent or whatever. You know, they wanted me to go to college and get my degree, and I did, and I'm happy of, you know, I love my parents so much, and I'm so happy that they pushed me and everything. Yeah. But you would think that me, after getting my bachelor's and, you know, my master's and, you know, that if you ask me if I want, or if my kids have to go to college, the answer is, you know, no, they don't have to. But, you know, first and foremost, you know, I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. Yeah. And beyond, you know, me thinking about, you know, anything like that, I just want them to be good people. I'm just trying to raise good people. If you have good people, everything else is going to take care of itself. Whether you go to college or, you know, you're going to be on the right path. You're going to, you know.
I feel you, dog. I mean, that touches on the subject of having good people around you, like in any project that you undertake, you know? Like you and your brother being together, you know that you can rely on each other. Yeah, man. And you know, both of y'all know that that's my brother, he's cool as fuck. He's good people. Same thing with you, you're like, that's my brother, he's cool people. And then having those, and then I feel like good people normally just start to come around you and start helping you build, you know, your project and see your vision through. You know, right now when you guys are gonna try to finish off the distribution and things of the movie, do you guys have any other particular projects in mind that you might be trying to work on or anything like that?
Yeah. Blake has something that he's been working on, and I've been putting together some
so
materials.
You already got like a second.
You know, I try to stay ahead of the game, you know, but yeah, we got something else brewing. It's very in its very early stages. Yeah, it's an infant. It's close to being born. Okay. It's not even an infant yet.
So you have something now
it's a really big fetus.
Yeah. That's what's up, dog. So you guys, how do you guys put together like the projects that you want to keep working on? Like right now, you guys finished Billy Boy. Billy Boy's a badass movie. That's a dope ass project. You have a production house, so obviously you want to pump out more shit. That's dope, you know. So like, how do you guys come together and say, all right, let's try to focus on this. Let's try to do, like, what's your process with that?
Well, you know, at least for me and Blake and my partner Robert Ulrich, you know, Blake, he's become a really good writer, you know, in addition to an actor, you know, obviously, but you know, it's kind of the product of him writing something. And I know my brother's humor, I know his taste, so it's like, you know, when I read things, you know, I can read it through him, like, talking. You know, so it's like, you know, I understand, you know, those things. And not only does he make, you know, interesting material and funny material or, you know, deep and romantic or emotional, you know, he's
like creative and his creativity leaches into other aspects of your.
What I was getting at was, you know, he brings the script, and obviously, you know, it's very versatile. It's you know, he makes funny ones. You know, he's always writing and stuff. But so that's kind of where he comes in at the beginning. Okay. And you know, he's probably going to be acting in most of his own stuff, so he'll have a role for himself. Yeah. And then my partner Robert Ulrich, I mean, thankfully, he's been in the industry for a pretty decent amount of time. He's a pretty you know, well-known casting director out there. Right. So that adds a pretty good element to our kind of chemistry and what we got going on, because, you know, you got Blake, who's a rising talent. You know, he's a good writer. You got Robert, who, you know, can attach to an awesome cast. You saw, you know, all the performances in Billy Boy are
They're all
pretty
good.
powerful, pretty strong, performances. And then with me, it's like, like I was telling you before, every movie's a business. So it's like, creating the business out of it.
Yeah, that's what's up. So you guys have like a pretty fucking dope ass trio, dog. You guys running the triangle offense.
Yeah,
like,
it's fun. It's fun. And it's like, over the course of doing it once and then twice, you kind of know your role,
So you
like
fall into your role and like then you start trying to like become really good at it.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you've that you've gained a lot of skills throughout the process of making Billy Boy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think, it strengthened my skill set a lot, and it strengthened my knowledge, of not just how to make a movie, but, just all of the details and elements that, go into creating, such a big project. This is a huge undertaking to do something like this. And, you're kind of thrown to the fire when you do this, not having done it before. And the basics of, setting up a company, what do you got to do? You come up with the budget, and you come up with your execution plan, and it's a lot of learn as you go, and it's like you got to surround yourself with great people. You got to surround yourself with capable people, because to make anything this big, you can't do it yourself.
I feel you.
It's like anything worth anything that's big and successful, or or just like a project of this magnitude. It's like you need to surround yourself with good and capable people.
I feel you, dog. If you were to give any like aspiring producers out there some knowledge, something that you would be able to wish to tell yourself probably like 4 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like if you had a magic time machine, right? And I'll tell you, all right, you're gonna be able to go talk to yourself 4 years ago. What is the one thing you want to tell yourself 4 years ago? Like before starting the project, before learning how to be a producer, before that, what's the one thing that you really want to hone in on?
For aspiring producers?
Yeah, like aspiring people who want to make movies and who want to like try to pop off. Like South Florida's getting big with fucking production, dude. I think there's a lot of people out here gonna be doing this.
Yeah, I think it just stems back to like knowing what your strong suits are, knowing what your role, what you're good at. Because you and I were having this conversation earlier, like what is a producer?
Yeah.
What do they do?
Yeah.
And it's like I've come to find that it's a pretty general term.
Yeah.
It's like how did you produce and on a larger capacity than others who may have their name on the movie, obviously. Yeah. But it's like in Miami, if you're a club promoter, you have connections, right? Hey, if you find somebody who's a writer, and you have connections to people, and then you can kind of get people to attach, and like you can be a producer, or if you raise the money for it, you can.
Don't say that, dog. You're gonna have all these promoters out in Miami thinking they're gonna be.
I'm just trying to make sense of the situation.
No, I feel
it's
you,
like that's just an example. It's like I
promoters
guess that's what initially. Sorry about that.
Please.
Sorry about that.
Not good.
But I'm just saying,
I'm
just trying to say producers are pretty flexible term, and it's like for example, Robert is heavy into the casting, and he brings the casting amongst other things. He helps raise money, but and helps get the thing going along the way. Robert this guy is a machine.
Yeah.
And, I think I'm a capable person. This guy is a machine, and I'm happy he's on my side.
On all cylinders.
He's the most relentless in the best way possible.
That's what's up.
Anything you ask for, or anything, not only you, anything anybody asks for or needs, like it's always yes, and he always executes, and like
it's always good to have one of those people on your team,
man.
Yeah,
and he keeps you going. He really, he was probably, one of the bigger heartbeats in this thing.
I feel you.
Because when you're doing something like this, the hardest thing I think is, beyond the fundraising, that's probably the hardest part, but it's just dealing with personalities and learning how to work, with people that you haven't really worked with before, and having those big responsibilities, you know, as managers of the company or whatnot. So yeah.
Damn, I feel you, dog. That's crazy because, I mean, growing up myself, I always thought, how the fuck do movies get made? What do executive producers do? What do producers do? And like, now that there's like South Florida's popping off in a cinematography, like in a movie way, it's crazy because I still don't even know what a producer does, and I still don't know what executive producer. Earlier we were talking, so you explained to me what executive producer is. Like normally the person who provides the most type of funding for the movie.
Type of funding, or if they find the money, or it's just like, you know.
Normally, like the big money dude is executive producer, right?
Yeah, if he wants it, or if he wants to remain under the radar, he won't take the credit.
Okay,
you know, so it just depends on who you're working with.
All right.
You know?
And then like producer's basically the person who like does everything to like actually put this shit together. Like there's not one title.
No, there's not.
There's
you're running
like
a business, just like
titles.
you're running a business.
Yeah.
Like just like you have in a company, you have a CEO, a CFO, a COO, and a CTO.
Yeah.
You know, all these different. I mean, that's what the producers kind of are in a movie. You know, at least.
So they're the C-suite of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes complete sense. Now I like the way you broke it down to me because it's something that opens your mind. You know. Damn, so you want to tell me about that new project you're working on? You want to drop a little dime?
Oh, what? The one with Blake?
Yeah.
No, I mean I can't tell you much about it. He might fly down here and slap me up. but I'm his older brother, so he wouldn't want to do that.
I feel you.
But yeah, that'll be on. We'll save that for the next one.
I feel you. That's what's up, dog. Well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming out to the show, dog, and talking to us about Billy Boy. And how the movie has basically been able to show you different paths and different ways. And I enjoy the fact that you're from South Florida and that you popping off in this way, in a major way. I applaud you and your brother, and I applaud your business partner as well for sticking to something this long, you know, and actually getting it done, sticking through fruition. And like that's a major, like, I tip my hat to you, dog, because it's not easy, yo. I know myself, getting anything going off the ground is not easy, and it's always like a bitch to try to finish things off, you know. And you guys actually did it, and you guys produced something that's like really dope. I think it's gonna be noteworthy, you know. As soon as it hits theaters, I recommend everybody watch it. You don't know any specific date that you think is gonna drop?
I do, but I don't know if I can release that at this time.
That's another gem you gotta keep in the pocket.
Yeah, you know.
I feel you.
We're in the midst of it now, so
I feel you.
Some of the stuff's under ties.
That's what's up, man. If anybody wanted to reach out to you, try to get in contact with you, talk to you about movie making or anything along those lines, where would they be able to reach at?
You can reach me at. You can email me, Mike, MIKE @stayrelevant.com.
All right, Mike @stayrelevant.com, and the production studios is Stay Relevant Productions.
That's right.
That's what's up, man. And you guys are based here in South Florida?
No, it's based in California.
All right, so you have an office here in South Florida,
exactly.
And it's based in your headquarters.
And one in exactly.
All right, so you have 2 offices. That's what's up, man. I appreciate you once again for coming out to the show and spending some time with us and letting everybody know what's popping off in South Florida. We got more than playa and puteria here. You know, we got some culture. We got some shit popping off here. And until the next time, you guys, if you like the podcast, like and subscribe. We're on iTunes and Google Play. You know where to reach us, fresherfresh.com. Thank you for coming out to Que Bola, bro.
All right, man. Thank you for having me.
No problem, brother.
Appreciate it.
I hope you guys like that talk. If you would like to get in contact with Mike, hit him up on Instagram or Twitter, the Mike Jenner, MikeJenner. All right. Outside of that, let us know what you thought about the talk in our comments on our website, fresherfresh.com. Let us know how you feel about it. Thank you so much for your time. Feel free to rate and comment on iTunes. Appreciate the love and support. Y'all be easy. Take care.